when you have a particularly barbaric time in history and you have this group of people in Athens that are literally changing the world through democracy and through the Eleusinian mysteries and all the shit that they were doing, where people are traveling from all over the globe to come to this one spot. And then you got these fucking savages. These people are the savages of savages, the Spartans.
Yeah.
They're like, if you think about it, if someone says, like, what kind of a warrior would you want to be?
Right.
If you're a little kid, I want to be a Spartan.
Yeah, of course. It's
like
why all these sports teams have Spartans as their like mascots. You know?
Yeah, and to imagine that there was a group of people that existed, a culture that existed that was completely warlike and had these tenets that were just unbendable.
Yeah.
And from the time you were a child, they tested you.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you f***ed up, if you failed, if you fell apart, if you quit, you were chucked out.
Yeah, the Crypteia, like they you know, the whole thing, like where they would send you like around 7, you'd go on the Agoge, you'd go like into the wilderness, and you're basically living among other kids that were between like 7 and 13, and you just were like wild. And the sort of elite of those groups were called the Crypteia, and the Crypteia would come down and just kill Helots whenever they wanted. Like they were encouraged. The Helots were the slave class that the Spartans that maintained Spartan society. And these guys, these kids, imagine like if you lived, you know, and like in the hills, you knew there was just like this 13-year-old gang of 13-year-olds that were going to just come down and murder you at any moment.
And they were encouraged to murder
And they were encouraged to do it because they like, and also the Helots were fine. If the Helots killed them, that was fine because that meant that they weren't good enough anyway. And then they would have this like, they did this ritual with this like table of cheese where like all these Spartan warriors would stand around the table, and all the 13-year-olds who were ready to like transition into becoming true Spartans, you'd have to like try and get and pull a piece of cheese off this stone table, and the Spartan warriors who guarded the table could do anything to stop you. And it was just beating the crap out of these 13-year-olds, and finally, like, you know, if you got it, then you were given to a Spartan soldier who raised you. And basically the idea was that he was your lover, he was your teacher, he was everything to you. Because the Spartans believed that, you know, really they believed that you would die for your brother if you were also lovers. You know, they thought that like, if you were confused about why we're fighting, fight for that guy who's not only your best buddy, but like, there's like a story, I guess, where they were like, when the Persians first came, they sent a scout over, and they looked down at the Spartans right the night before the big battle, and he went back and he goes, they were all like having sex with each other. It was like a weird, like they're like, we're going to be good. And there was this, one of the Spartans kings the old Spartan king was now working with the Persians and said like, oh no, they're saying goodbye to each other. Do you know what that means? Like, we're completely screwed. Like they're going to, like, we're going to get murdered tomorrow, you know, like, and they were like, you're nuts. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, they're a bunch of softies. Like, let's go get them.
What if that's the key to being the absolute greatest army? You have to be gay.
Yeah.
You have to be gay.
Well, there's precedent, so I don't know.
There is precedent.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah.
Like, imagine if that was applied today.
Yeah, it could be amazing.
Yeah, but that would be a real problem.
We'll see.
The family structure.
We'll see what they say. Yeah. Well, by the way, in the end, the Spartans had a real problem because they couldn't. There's this really crazy thing, like where on their wedding night, they would have to shave the head of your bride and dress her like a man, and she would fight you because there was no.
That was the only way they got hard.
That was the only way they could get it. Yeah, get her ass because like they needed unless they got like a bloody lip, you know, they were like it wasn't going to happen.
That's so insane.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so insane.
So like you can imagine that it was hard to like keep generate enough offspring, you know, with that. Like you had an awesome army.
Right.
They were fucking the best, but like you're as far as your procreation was going, it wasn't
God,
awesome.
Imagine being a woman back then too.
Well, they had to run the whole show because basically the guys were just training. So all the commerce and like the deals they were making to like, you know, okay, we're going to make a trade deal with this. That was all done by the women because like the guys were like, no, we got to fucking work out. It's kind of awesome in some ways.
It's kind of awesome, but it's kind of crazy. And it's kind of crazy that it requires you to be gay to be the greatest army, because that's the one element. How much do you love this person beside you?
Yeah, you got to love them with everything.
Yeah.
You
I
gotta
mean,
love 'em with
imagine the
everything.
difference between you being with some random stranger on the street and a bunch of thugs attack the random stranger. How you would treat it versus if they attacked your
loved one.
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.